So is that when you started running in the parking lot,
Yes,
or was
yes, that was the
yes?
same
Okay.
year.
So I want to ask you this though, because if I'm right, you self volunteered to go into that men's program for a detox for
Correct.
90 days, right?
Correct.
But there's a few other times though when you didn't really get to self volunteer and you went away for a little while, but you looked at those as an opportunity, no matter if you chose for yourself or not, right?
Correct. So there were times where yes, so I have been locked up a few times. I'm very vocal about my past, and I've always used it as a positive thing. I joke around and say it's a free rehab, but not to be funny. It's serious, and there were times in my life where I really really needed it. There was one time in particular where I had fallen back into hardcore alcohol and drug abuse after being clean and sober for almost 3 years. So
Mm.
it was a real, it stung. It stung. And I was inside the courthouse and the judge sentenced me to 1 year. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I, I had never been sentenced to more than like 90 days. So the 1 year was a real true wake up call. And I was
Mm-hmm.
at a point in my life where I told myself, I said, you don't have any more of these left. Like I say things all the time about how I would get sentenced to 30 days, to 60 days, to 90 days, numerous times where a lot of grown men and a lot of grown women, something like that happens to them. And they say, holy smokes, I'm not going to let that happen again. Like that
Mm-hmm.
stinks. Like, going to jail is not fun. It's not, no, I don't wish it upon anybody.
Right.
Unless you're out there breaking the law. But all of my stuff was always silly stuff that was associated with drug and alcohol abuse, stuff that most adults can snap out of or grow out of those habits. And it seemed like I was making those mistakes over and over again and kind of just becoming immune to it and just really wasting valuable, precious time in life. And I talk about all that all the time. I could wake up every day and be discouraged about the time that I've wasted and lost, or I can be grateful for all of the opportunities that I have in front of me now and the freedom and the sobriety and all that. So I choose the latter. I choose to, be grateful and not be discouraged. But that 1 year sentence, I used it as a, hey, this is it. You need to study. You need to work out. You need to be
Mm-hmm.
serious. You need to get mature. And I did. I took like a college writing class, a college poetry class. I was, I was doing Bible studies. I was doing the push-ups and I was jogging outside every single day. There was actually a guy in the facility that they called Boston. And the rumor was that he had ran the Boston Marathon several times and was in there for some white collar stuff like mortgage fraud or something like that. And he was like the yard coach. And he used to tell me not to worry about speed, but to worry about how long I could run without stopping. He said, you want to get to the point where you can spend this entire recreation time running without stopping. He said, stash a water bottle over here, stash a water bottle over here. And I just thought it was so cool to get this, this kind of coaching and guidance from somebody that people like really kind of looked up to there.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the point where I could run the entire 2.5 hours without stopping, only stopping to use the water bottles. And I remember just being so pumped up about that. So right after that, when I talked about doing the half marathon right after being released, that was the sentence where I got released and did the half marathon. So I had so much like mental momentum going in to that half. I was telling people while I was there that I wanted to do a marathon. That was the year of 2013 when the Boston Marathon bombing occurred. So we saw it on
Yeah.
television and
Yeah.
everybody was like, oh my gosh, look at what happened. And it just kind of like, I was such an outsider looking in. Um, I just remember wanting to be a part of that and starting to gain some respect and knowledge of the history of the sport and specifically of the Boston Marathon.
I want to know, have you ever reconnected with Boston since
I
then?
have not. I have not. But one really cool thing is there's a local half marathon in East Providence where several years later I'm getting close to like mile 12 and I think from 12 to 12.6 is like a steady, pretty decent hill. Um, And I look over, and it's a gentleman that we spent several months together, running together in the yard. We worked in the kitchen together. He was another gentleman that loved to run. And we both looked at each other and we was like, you gotta be kidding me. And I was like, you should be so proud of yourself. He's like, dude, you should be so proud of yourself. Like, look at us. And it was
No
like,
way.
it was such a cool moment. We gave each other the high fives. I didn't want to, I'm the most like affectionate person like out there on the course, like to the point where people I think have to tell me like, Mo, kind of calm down sometimes. I think I want to like hold the guy's hand and run across the finish line. I don't think he was a hand holder though. So that,
No.
that didn't happen. But
why not? I can't figure out why. That's awesome.
but it was such a cool moment because we recognized each other and we were both doing what we did there, but outside being free. And it's just like it was just such a cool moment.